If you've ever opened the options chain on Webull and immediately thought like, what am I actually looking at? You are really not alone, because the screen is full of numbers, it's full of colors, it's full of columns, it's full of a lot of stuff. And most beginners think they need to understand every single thing before placing a trade. They need to understand what everything on the screen is, but you actually do not. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what you're looking at and which numbers actually matter and exactly the ones you can ignore. So today's goal isn't to make you an expert. It's simply just to make this screen stop looking confusing to you. The options chain is no longer going to be confusing after this. So when you think about an options chain, think about it like a menu. When you go to a restaurant, the menu isn't really confusing because every single item is explained differently. It is just a list of choices. Now, it might be a lot of choices. Some restaurants have a lot of items, some restaurants have a little bit, but you understand that every item is explained on its own. So it's just a list of choices. So the options chain is going to work that exact same way. Every single row is simply another contract that you could buy. Nothing more than that. So we're going to look at this options chain here. I'm going to break down exactly what we're actually seeing. So I'm going to circle one row, right? Because we said every single row is like a item on the menu. Every row is simply just a contract that we could buy. So here is actually a contract. That's two different contracts, but this is one complete row that has two contracts, a put contract and a call contract. So the number that we see on the screen doesn't really stay stagnant like this. It is going to be changing when you're actually in the app itself, but this is a screenshot just showing you the location of what we're looking at. Okay, so within this row, this is what we're going to focus on. Number one is where the calls and puts are, right? So I showed you that this entire screen that we're looking at is called the options chain. So we're going to check that one off. We already know this entire thing is called an options chain. We could even see the word chain lit up here. Watch the previous video to understand how to get to this screen, and the previous video that's already uploaded. And so we know that we're on the options chain screen. So I just told you that calls are on this left side, and we can actually see it here. It says calls, and then puts are on the right side. So this entire column is about down ideas, and this entire column is about up ideas. So that's where the calls and puts are. The calls are on the left side, the puts are on the right side. So now we're going to talk about strike price. I'm actually just going to remove this circle that I put around that, but I am actually going to highlight where calls and puts are just so you don't forget. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about on the list is called a strike price. So a strike price is actually located in the middle. Don't overthink it today. It really doesn't even matter what number is here. However, just know each row has its own different strike price. So if we look at, let's just call this row number 1, row number 2, 3, 4, 5, right? When we look here, we see that row number 1 has its own strike price. Row number 2 has its own strike price, and so forth. Okay? That's all you really need to remember. And that's what makes one contract different from the next. So even though all 5 of the contracts here are all call contracts, the thing that makes them different is many things, but one of the things that makes them each contract different from each other is the actual strike price. Now that we went over where the strike price is, right, it's the black numbers in the center. Now let's go over expiration date. That's the next one we're going to go over. So the expiration date is literally just every options contract eventually expires. So the date simply tells you when that expiration happens. It just simply tells you when the contract is going to expire. So right here on the screen, we can see three different expiration dates. Now these expiration dates actually go out days and weeks and months and even years, depending on what company equity that you are actually trading or looking at contracts for. Right now, we're looking at Tesla. Right, this is the example that we've been using since the beginning of this series. So make sure to watch the videos in order because they're meant to be watched in order. Because if you understand everything here, but you don't understand what the first video was saying, then you might be a little confused. So make sure you're watching in order and you're rewatching the series to make sure you're understanding. So we only have three that we can see from this screenshot, but I want to let you know that it continues to go. So it's again located in the middle. And you see 1D, that means 1 day. That means it's going to expire literally tomorrow, in 1 day, right? 1 day from now. Now, there are also some companies that you can trade that have 0D, 0 day, which means that expire that same day. And we'll get into that deeper into the series. So that's the first one we can see. The next one that we can see is 2D. That means 2 days from now, the contracts will expire. We have 6D. Oh, we can actually see this one too. 10D. It's kind of hidden a little bit, but you can kind of see it, right? And so if you look next to that section here, you can actually see the date of whichever, right? So 1 day from when I took the screenshot would have been the 1st of July. 2 days from when I took the screenshot would have been the 2nd of July, and so forth. All this means is that the date simply tells you when the expiration of the contract is going to happen. Some contracts last 1 day, some last a week, some last months. It can keep going. But here's the part that most beginners start to ignore because it actually is one of the first things that I look at. So we've looked at expiration date. Now let's get into bid and ask. You'll notice 2 prices, bid and then ask. Okay, I'm looking here at the top here, right? That's what we're looking at, bid and ask right here at the top. Think of it like when you are using your finances to buy a used car. So the seller, the people at the dealership, the salesman want one price, obviously as high as they can possibly get it to get as much money as they can. Then the buyer, which is you want a totally different price. You want as low as you can possibly get it. And the same thing happens here. This is what sellers are asking for. That is the ask. The bid is what buyers are currently willing to pay. And so on the side of your, if you think that your contracts will raise in value when price goes up, that's located on the left, and the vice versa, opposite, is located on the right side, right? So there's 2 ask columns, or 2 ask columns and 2 bid columns. Now that we've gone over ask or bid and ask, I will go over volume and open interest in a different video. It's not even in this screenshot, right? So what it will look like is you'll basically scroll inside this column and you'll see bid and ask and last price, and you'll see volume, you'll see open interest, you'll see delta, gamma, and it will just continue going, and this column will actually continue to just shift over to see all of the numbers in this column. So we'll go over that at some other point, but I wanted to go over what the options chain actually looks like, where the calls and puts are, strike price, expiration date, bid and ask for this particular video. Right? What I want you to remember is that every single row is simply another contract. The strike price tells you which contract. The expiration tells you how long the contract is going to last. And then the bid and the ask are simply telling you the current pricing. And just as a small background, the volume is going to tell you today's activity of whatever you're looking at. And open interest is going to tell you how many contracts already exist. So we don't have to talk about those other two today, but I will in this series. So make sure that you're following along. Because once you understand all these, the options chain becomes so much easier to read. It's literally just these things on one screen. So now that you know how to read the options chain, the next question actually is, which contract should you choose? Because just because these are all different doesn't really give you understanding to like which ones you should actually be doing. And honestly, this is where most beginners should start guessing and trading different contracts. And so that's what we're going to cover next.